Hello, it's Jerry here again to discuss another facet of Benocracy. Um, I've done a lot of talking about where we might find our candidates, the type of people we need, about the structure of Benocracy. At this stage, I haven't really gone into where we're going to find our voters, and that's probably the most important thing. I'm fairly confident we can find our voters. For me, there's a symbiotic relationship between our candidates and our potential voters. The more confident we are that we can attract voters, the more likely it is that we can attract quality candidates. And the better candidates are, the more likely it is we can find their voters. I'm confident that Benocracy can deliver our candidates and consequently voters. And partially this confidence comes from a consistency in the concept of Benocracy. At the very least, from an academic or theoretical point of view, if we study Benocracy, I don't see a flaw in it. I don't see a flaw in the concept. But then again, I've thought about this a lot, and I'm probably looking at the positive side, best case scenario, looking at it through rose-tinted spectacles, probably very idealistically. But again, I've asked this before, is idealism wrong? Surely if we're to correct where we are, we need a touch of idealism. Any job we take on to fix where we are is going to be difficult, will be a hard climb, but nothing that will fix our current scenario will be easy. Election time, I think Democrats could have a huge advantage over established parties. Look at most electorates in most countries, 30%, maybe up to 40% of people do not vote at election time. Is this because they feel disenfranchised? They feel there's no one worth voting for? Is there an apathy? Does this apathy does it take root? And many of the 60 to 75% of people who do vote are also looking for something different, something better. And why would voters see Democrats as people worth voting for? It's not up to me to write a constitution for a democratic party in any country, but I have a vision of what these constitutions probably should look like. By the time that Democrats go to the polls, their attitude may need to be a little more pragmatic and less idealistic than my vision. But here's my vision for what Benocracy might look like. How do we attract a large chunk of these regular voters and most that don't vote anymore? Perhaps this is ambitious, but we need to stay away from populism and attempt to double down on the truth at the hustings. And reference to present as something completely different, we need to attempt to stay away from childish squabbles that many parties get embroiled in nowadays in many countries. We try, and I don't think that looking at the makeup of democratic parties, we will have to try too hard to rise above the rhetoric and the petty squabbles. Socrates said the secret of change is to focus all our energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. This must be a cornerstone of the democratic ethos. I want to demonstrate how important these disenfranchised or disinterested voters are. Look at the breakdown of the Brexit vote. Of an electorate of 46.5 million in the UK, 17.4 million voted to leave the EU, 16.1 voted to remain. The staggering figure is that 12.95% of voters did not vote. Perhaps if they had known then what they know now, things could be different. I would argue, and it could be wrong, that the Remain campaign could have done a better job. The jeopardy that Brexit could herald was possibly not highlighted enough. Perhaps I'm being unfair to the Remain campaign. The pro-Brexit campaign was, I believe, disingenuous and littered with untruths and pithy slogans. It was one on jingoism. Populism is very attractive. It will be the job of a democratic party at election time to fully illustrate the jeopardy of just continuing on electing those that we constantly elect. Einstein's adage that the definition of madness is doing or trying the same thing every time, expecting a different result. This is his definition of madness, of insanity. Perhaps, and this is the antithesis of populism, a Benocracy party must suggest that damage caused by past administrations could result in difficult times ahead for the next few years. In a sense, unfortunately, I believe that the damage over the next few years is, in a sense, already locked in. Whether we go down a Benocratic route to fix things, the next few years will be tough. Or whether we go down the populist route, things may be tougher again, and there may be no end in sight for it. But things cannot be turned around at the click of a switch. All efforts, at least under Benocratic administration, will be geared to change legislation and direction to correct all that is wrong. Perhaps we could call on the electorate to embrace the Greek adage that societies grow great when old men plant trees, the shade of which they know they will never sit. We need a step or two back to stride forward for the good of our children. And I would hope for the good of ourselves. And I would hope that it's not going to take forever to turn it around. I would like to think that whatever sacrifice we make will reap benefits in 4, 6, 8 years, and things may be turned around and on a much more even keel for us. Where can we find an example of the benefit of seeing those who normally don't vote coming out to vote? I believe the 65 million plus votes that Hillary Clinton logged in the 2016 presidential election was a record tally. So you might have thought that when Donald Trump registered 74 million votes in 2020, he would take the presidency. But no. Over 81 million voters came out to vote for President Biden. Over 7 million more votes than what was already a record high. Now, President Biden seems to me to be a fine and decent man. But is it wrong to suggest that many came out to vote against President Trump, seeing a danger and giving him 4 more years? This is how important the normally apathetic or casual voter is. Just as many saw jeopardy in the 2020 US election, I see the danger in keeping voting for those that we do. We need something different on our ballot sheets. Benocracy intends to give us good people. It intends to give us good people for good people to vote for. I'm asking you, I'm probably beseeching you to help me here. You may have seen a few of my videos by now. I don't think that I'm being too alarmist, perhaps I am. But either way, even if dystopia does not await us, better governance should always be our goal. Incidentally, a relative of mine has just sent me an op-ed written by David Brooks for the New York Times. He thinks that it is possible that in 2 years' time, at election time, and hopefully at least within 6 years' time, the next president of America will come completely out of left field. He predicts that it may be not a Democrat, it may not be a Republican. The people, he gives 6 or 7 reasons why people are fed up with what's going on over there. He thinks that really it needs a change, as do I. And he describes the person he sees as being the next good candidate for the US election, basically the people that I'm actually aiming for through Benocracy. Benocracy's roadmap gives such a person a vehicle to get him to the presidency or her to the presidency. Mr. Brooks has described the ideal individual. I think that Benocracy presents the necessary strategy, the necessary vehicle. Again, I'm asking you to help. If any of you can show or suggest my videos or book to influencers like Mr. Brooks, and especially Mr. Brooks, given what he's just written, I would really appreciate your help. Get in touch with your inner activist. Press your subscribe and share buttons. Should we all not be activists given the current climate? Legend has it that Pandora opened the box. All ills and evils were released into the world. It is said that all that was left was hope. If that's all we have now, we must use it, harness it, and improvise with it. Again, broken record time, our tool here is Benocracy. Intelligent, business savvy humanitarians are what we need now. Benocracy presents the only route, only strategy to find these people. I know that they are out there. The more people who know of the concept, the more credibility the idea has. Only you can help Benocracy enter the public consciousness. Please press the share buttons. Please recommend the videos, recommend the book, subscribe. Thank you very much for indulging me listening to me. All the best. Good luck. Bye-bye.